Name of great Allah, today I want to teach you reflexive pronouns. Let's know what a reflexive pronoun is. I want to define for you. Firstly, let me write the topic here. Reflexive pronouns. Reflexive pronouns. The direct meaning of reflexive pronouns is ضمایر انعکاسی. ضمایر what? انعکاسی. Reflexive pronouns means ضمایر انعکاسی. So, I just write for you two words, okay? Or even we can say two letters. I write here very big S, yes or no? Then equals what? I write O or OBJ. So this can be a good definition for reflexive pronouns. The subject equals object. The subject and object is one. The subject and object is what? One. Yes or no? So what are reflexive pronouns? We can combine reflexive pronouns by some words. For example, we've got my and self. We make it what? Myself. Yes or no? Or instead of our, we only add selves. Here a mistake happens, guys. Many students and some teachers, including me, makes mistake here. Most of the time we say that ourself. Ourself is not in English. We don't have the word ourself. We have to pronounce it ourselves. 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 Okay. Then the next one, you can have yourself. It can be singular, yes or no? And it can be yourselves, plural. As well as we've got, for example, her. We say that herself. Herself. Or we have, for example, him. Himself. Himself. Or we have themselves. Themselves. And we have what? Itself, yes or no? So, look here, guys. Generally, we use reflexive pronouns as object because we have a subject. We say that Ali respects himself. I hate myself. I teach myself. We cannot have such sentences. I teach yourself. Or they teach myself. So such kind of sentences will be incorrect, and we have to be careful that the subject and object should be equal. Equal means one. Okay? If I have I here, I, then you have to use a verb, I respect. Then what should I say? Myself. Can I say I respect yourself? No, because the subject doesn't equal object. Yes or no? Or we say that you play with yourselves, imagine. Or I say that she loves herself. Okay. Now, which words are reflexive pronouns, guys? Myself, yourselves, herself. Yes or no? This is about reflexive pronouns. We have three important notes that Mr. Muhammadi taught you. The first note about reflexive pronoun is for plus reflexive pronoun. It's the first structure that you have to know. Besides reflexive pronoun, you have to understand what is for plus reflexive pronoun. Imagine I say that I like my mom for herself. I teach you for yourselves. I respect my students for themselves. So if we have for plus reflexive pronoun, what does it mean? If we have for plus reflexive pronouns, it means that we do an action. We do an action for one reason. For one reason. We do an action for one reason, not many reasons. I like my mom for herself. I respect Zulfaqar for himself, not for his beauty or because he is handsome. Huh? Okay, I teach you for yourselves. So if we have for plus reflexive pronoun, it shows that we do an action for one reason. Secondly, we have by plus reflexive pronouns, guys. By plus reflexive pronoun. What does this show? If we have the structure of by plus reflexive pronoun, what does it show? For example, we say that I taught it by myself. I wrote it by myself. She did it by herself. So if we have by plus reflexive pronoun, what's the meaning? If we have by plus reflexive pronoun, it means that we do an action without others' help. We do an action without others' help. No one helps. Imagine I don't believe. This is your handwriting, and I come to class say, wow, whose handwriting is this? Then should I say that it's mine? Is it you? I don't think. Is it? Yes, I did, or I wrote it by myself. You have to emphasize it, okay? Especially the word by. I did it by myself. Got it? So the next topic that we have to study is if we have subject plus reflexive pronouns, then verb and complement. On that situation, if we have such a structure, look, if we have this structure of that situation, this reflexive pronouns that we use here are not called reflexive pronoun. They are called emphatic pronoun. For example, I myself, you yourself, they themselves, he himself, she herself. Got it? If we use reflexive pronouns after subject, they will be called emphatic pronoun. What will they be? They will be emphatic pronouns. Let me make more example for you. So let's make sentences. For example, I myself taught you this. She herself played soccer. We ourselves came on time. You yourself thought that. They themselves spoke English. Look, I use the word themselves, ourselves, yourself or yourselves, itself, herself, and himself after subject. If we use them after subject, they will be called emphatic pronoun, not reflexive pronouns. So let me have a review of today's lesson. Today I was teaching you reflexive pronouns. Reflexive pronouns means ضمائر انعکاسی. Very short definition for reflexive pronoun is this, that we say that subject equals to object. Subject equals to object. The subject and object is one. The subject does an action on itself. And we generally use a subject. For example, I respect myself. You teach yourself. They play with themselves. And I told you that generally myself, ourselves, yourself, yourselves, herself, himself, themselves, and itself are called reflexive pronouns. Do not forget that we have three important notes for reflexive pronouns and we have to understand them. The first note is using for plus reflexive pronoun. The second one is using by plus reflexive pronoun. And finally, we've got the structure of subject plus reflexive pronoun, verb, and complement. Let's come to the first one. If we have for plus reflexive pronoun, it means that we do an action without others' help. And if we have by plus reflexive pronoun, it means that we do an action alone and no one helps us. Vice versa? We do an action for one reason, and here we do an action without others' help. Yes or no? And if we use reflexive pronouns after subject, it will be what? It will be emphatic pronouns. That's all about today's lesson. Thank you. Now, what's your name? Maysam. Please comment. Clap for Maysam.